Hello and welcome to our End of Financial Year Hints and Tips webinar. I'd like to welcome all of our participants around Australia. It's that time of year when there's a mad rush to have your clients get their contributions in on time, submit account transfers, recast pension accounts, and get those recontribution strategies sorted. My name is Joe Todaro, Advisor Education Analyst at North, and today I will cover all of this and more as we arm you with the tools that you need on North Online to get you through this period to ensure that you have a smooth and successful end of financial year. I'm going to talk through the pain points that can pop up at this time of year and provide you with the hints and tips to take back with you into your practice. I'd like to introduce you to our team. The North training consultants in your state can facilitate training sessions within your practice to help you get the most out of North Online, become more efficient by learning those hints and tricks, and reducing your cost to serve. So please get in touch with us to arrange a session. If you've joined us for a webinar before, you know that you can ask questions at any time by selecting the chat icon on the left-hand side menu throughout the session. We'll come back to you with a response in the coming days. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot to cover today. Please note that whether you're a beginner and never use North Online or a seasoned veteran, our session today will have something for everyone. We will discuss the fundamentals and then also include some intricate details with hints and tips along the way, and I will highlight what to look for and call out those pain points that many of you experience at this time of year. So let's start with those all-important dates for pension payments. On Friday, the 30th of June, we'll be running a catch-up pension payment, and that is to ensure that our clients meet their annual minimum pension payment requirement for the current financial year. So if they haven't met that minimum as yet, there'll be a separate payment that your client will receive for a smaller amount that they usually would receive. So if they do call you and ask, why have I received this payment? That is to ensure that they meet the minimum for the financial year. And then on the 1st of July, the minimum pension amount is recalculated using the client's age and account value on that date. So what we do is we run maintenance to ensure that the client's account is correctly reviewed and pension payments are correctly recalculated for the new financial year. So Centrelink schedules will become available to your clients via statements and correspondence from the 5th of July. Now we'll move on to getting money into your client's account. So how do you do this? And the all-important cutoff times. So sit back and let's take a look. So there are a number of different ways to get money into your client's account, and we're going to run through all of those now. So for cutoff times, BPay and EFT transfers, the money needs to be in your client's account by Friday, 30th of June by 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. When processing a direct debit, you do it via North Online by entering the details through make a contribution or deposit, and we'll show you that in a few moments' time. It needs to be submitted by 5 p.m. Friday the 30th of June. And for check payments, yes, we do accept checks. We need to receive those checks by Monday the 26th of June at 12 p.m. So the first contribution method we're going to look at is a BPay payment. So the BPay biller code for all accounts at North is 38778, and then they have their own individual customer reference number. So you enter that number plus a number on the end, which will correspond with the contribution type. So for example, if it is a member contribution or a personal contribution, it'll be a number 1 on the end, which will indicate a non-concessional contribution. Likewise, for a spouse contribution, the number 3 on the end will indicate a spouse contribution. And when it is allocated to your client's account, it will automatically be allocated as those contribution types. It works a very similar way for an electronic funds transfer EFT. The BSB number for North is 03806, and then their own individual account number with a number 1 on the end or a number 3 according to how you allocate that contribution. So to find those details, you log on to North Online within your client's account and scroll all the way down the page to find BPay EFT details. It's really important to note that payments cannot be made in a branch using the above EFT codes. If you wish to make a payment within a branch, contact the North Service Centre to obtain payment instructions. When processing a direct debit, you do that through North Online under Make a Contribution or Deposit. So those direct debits, as we mentioned earlier, must be submitted by Friday, 5 p.m, the 30th of June. And that is to ensure that they are allocated within the current financial year. Anything received after that time would not be able to be allocated within the financial year. Any email direct debit request forms must be received by Thursday, the 22nd of June. And for checks, it's really important to ensure that you consider the time it will take for postage to ensure that we receive it by 12 p.m, Australian Eastern Standard Time, the 26th of June. The check should be made out to NMMT Limited and addressed to the North Service Centre at GPO Box 2915, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Included with the check, we will require the client's name, their member account number, and how the contribution is to be allocated into their account. But we'll look at in a few moments' time when you create that remittance on North Online. For large contributions, those payments need to be made to North by Friday, the 23rd of June at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So some payment methods have restrictions set by external banks, and that can lead to payment dishonors for those large payments. So before processing the payment, you should have the client contact their bank to ensure there is a payment limit on their account for direct debit, BPay, or even EFT payments as well. So the client should forward their contribution at least 1 week before to ensure it's been received and processed by the 30th of June. So now let's jump onto North Online, where we look at how to find contribution details, how to generate that remittance for BPay, EFT, and check payments, and also how to facilitate a direct debit on behalf of your client. Here we are on North Online within a client's account. On the account summary page, scroll all the way to the bottom to find EFT and BPay details. At the bottom of the page, you will find a summary of the details. For a BPay payment, the BPay biller code is 38778, and then use the BPay reference number along with the identifying number on the end, a number 1 for member non-concessional or a number 3 for a spouse contribution. For an EFT payment, the BSB number is 033806, then use the account number listed plus either the number 1 or the number 3 on the end. To provide remittance for an EFT, BPay, or a check contribution, select Contribute from the menu across the top and then Make a Contribution or Deposit. Firstly, select Add Contribution. Then either select Other Contribution Type or as a personal contribution, enter the amount in. Then choose EFT, BPay, or check contribution. You can then add multiple contributions by selecting the Add Contribution button. The contribution total will be at the bottom of the page. Select Next to proceed to page number 2, the Pre-Submit Documentation page. To view the contribution details, select the hyperlink. A summary of the contribution details will then be listed. For these details to be valid, note that you must submit the request on North Online. Back on North Online, to submit the request, select the Tick to Confirm box and then select Submit. Alternatively, you can select Save to Resume to come back to the request later. If you wish to make a direct debit payment, the bank account you wish to facilitate the direct debit must be first listed within the client profile. It is important to note that the direct debit will be processed immediately, and please to ensure there are sufficient funds in the nominated bank account to avoid bank dishonor fees being charged. As we mentioned earlier, it's important for your client to contact the bank to ensure that the institution will be able to facilitate a direct debit and to ensure that any limits may not impact the direct debit. This is extremely important as North will put the funds in your client's account in good faith even prior to money being received at North. This allows your client to be invested in the market as soon as possible. However, in the event that direct debit is dishonored and the account's investment instructions automatic buy profile automatically purchase investments, then when the transaction is reversed, unnecessary buy and sell costs are incurred as well as possible unit price fluctuations. Let's now confirm other administrative process cutoff times. We will start with in-specie transfers. To allow time for investments to transfer, it is recommended that the latest date for North to receive the physical paperwork is the 18th of May for managed funds due to a 4 to 6 week timeframe for completion, and the 1st of June for direct securities, which allows for 3 to 4 weeks processing. It is our aim to complete all transfer requests prior to or by the 30th of June. However, for the final submission date to be achieved, we are reliant upon third parties to complete the in-specie transfer transactions. As a result, the platform can't be responsible for or liable for any transfers not completed within this time frame. If the in-specie transaction is not finalised prior to the 30th of June, then it will be included in the contribution cap level for the 23-24 financial year and cannot be changed. When lodging a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction for personal contributions, where your client is eligible and has requested to claim a deduction for their personal contributions for the 21-22 financial year, the notice of intent must be submitted to North with the signed document by Friday the 23rd of June. Moving on for switching for managed funds and term deposits. To ensure all managed funds and term deposit trades can be processed within an effective date within the current financial year, they must be submitted by 5 p.m. Thursday, the 29th of June. And it is very important to note that North can't guarantee the trade will be dated within the current financial year. You need to check with the relevant investments PDS for buying and withdrawal dates. It is important to note that North cannot guarantee the trade will be dated within the current financial year. This is due to some fund managers need to receive the request on specific dates, and you should refer to the managed funds PDS for more information. For equity trades, all equity trades will be made in line with ASX trading hours, which is at 4 p.m. Friday the 30th of June Australian Eastern Standard Time. There are some circumstances in which equity trades may not fill the order prior to the market closing. For recontribution strategies, if you're considering a recontribution strategy for your clients, those funds must be physically transferred out of the super environment and then put back into the super environment. And you can do this in two ways, either by withdrawing to your client's bank account and putting them back into the super environment, alternatively via an account transfer method, which we will examine a little bit later on in our session today. If you want them to be eligible for the 22-23 financial year, it is recommended that you allow at least 2 weeks for this process. So there are some transactions which delay this process, including in-progress transactions, and we'll come to this a little bit later on in our session. And then we have long redeeming funds. So there are some funds that can take longer than usual to redeem. To learn more about long redeeming funds and their expected completion timeframes, jump onto North Online under the support menu item across the top down to training guides, and then all the way down the bottom is a document manage funds with extended withdrawal confirmation times. If you propose to complete a transaction which will require assets to be settled by the 30th of June, we recommend placing any trades for these long redeeming funds indicated by the fund and to review your client's buy, sell, and rebalance profiles. To do this again, refer to the investment's relevant PDS. So now let's focus on a very important transaction at this time of year. We're going to be talking account transferring on North Online. And we're going to start with some considerations. So please note that product minimums and restrictions apply. Any outstanding fees, tax liabilities, and other accrued costs at the time may be deducted from the cash account prior to the transfer. Account transfers are done on a proportional basis if specific units are not selected. The investment instructions will not be transferred from that source account over to that target account. The investment instructions on your destination account will apply. Where the investment profile on the destination account differs to the investment profile on that source account, a manual rebalance may be needed to be done on North Online. Transfers from super to investment accounts cannot be processed as rollovers. The transfer is classified as a withdrawal. Existing death benefit nominations will not be transferred on North Online. You need to ensure that a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction for personal contributions, that S290, has been completed prior to the redemption of the funds or transfer of the funds from that source account if applicable. A partial account transfer out of the account will reduce the eligible contributions in which the client can lodge a notice of intent to claim a deduction. So what can cause a delay? And there are a number of factors in which can cause a delay. When partially account transferring equities from an account, the holding identification number, or a HIN, will need to be activated within the target account. So the transfer between holding accounts is known as a hint-to-hint transfer, and the delay on the ultimate account transfer will be 3 to 5 days in that instance. When investments are awaiting fund manager confirmation for a pending buy or sell, this will delay the account transfer. So either whether it is a full or a partial account transfer, that is until the confirmation has been received. So if you are selecting an investment to account transfer which is not pending a buy or sell, however, another investment within the account is pending, even though you are transferring the investment without the pending units, the transfer will still be delayed until fund manager confirmation has been received. So this is also the case when a corporate action is in progress. So now we're going to be jumping back onto North Online to facilitate an account transfer on North Online by two ways, either a pro rata across investments or choosing investments to transfer. And then we're going to be talking about using an account transfer form and why you might need to do that. Within your client's account on North Online, select Transfer from the menu across the top and then Account Transfer. You should read the following conditions prior to proceeding with your transfer request. Then select Start Application. Firstly, indicate either a full or partial transfer. When partially account transferring, you have the option to either transfer pro rata across investments or to select investments to transfer. Let's select investments to transfer. You can create the new account within the client's profile firstly, or North Online provides you with the ability to facilitate the account transfer and transfer to the new account within the one activity. To do this, select Create New Account. Then select the product name and type of account. You will notice the maximum transferable value has then populated. This is the maximum amount that can be transferred, including cash. The figure will take into consideration fees, taxes, and investments that cannot be transferred. As we scroll down the page, you can then select investments to transfer. The red dot will denote investments that have a pending buy or sell and will delay the transfer until completion. You can then enter the transfer value or tick the box to transfer all. Note that if the transfer value exceeds 90% of the total value of the investment, you will need to select the transfer all option or enter a value less than 90% of the total value displayed to continue with your request. You also cannot partially transfer a term deposit and must transfer it in full. To proceed with your transfer request, select Next to progress through the application and then Submit. Scenarios in which you cannot facilitate the transfer on North Online include transferring to an account that is not within the client's profile. An example of this is transferring into a self-managed super fund. You will need to use the account transfer form available under Products from the menu across the top and then Forms. Then scroll down to Account Transfer Request. The form will need to be sent to North to process by either uploading to the client's account, emailing to north@amp.com.au, or post. Let's now talk about another very important transaction at this time of year, withdrawing on North Online. We will discuss how long it can take for a withdrawal to be paid once you've submitted the request and how to manage your client's expectations. We'll then jump back into North Online for a demonstration. The quickest way to commence processing a withdrawal is by submitting the request on North Online. North Online is intuitive to give you control on investments to choose to sell down if desired, top up the cash account using the investment instructions, and alerts you to lodge a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction for personal contributions, thus preventing errors and reducing the likelihood of missing information on a paper form. The time it takes to process a request can depend on several factors, including the amount as a percentage of the portfolio and whether investments need to be sold before the payment is made to your client. Finally, the ultimate payment is made and the destination or banking institution can impact when your client will receive the funds. The request is processed by the team at the North Service Centre. We may contact the client to verify their details and confirm the request. The time it takes to process the request may depend on several factors as we discussed earlier, and that includes whether the withdrawal amount is below or above 80% of the account value, and whether there is sufficient funds in cash to fund the withdrawal. If the withdrawal or rollover amount is under 80% of the total account value, then it will take 3 days to process on North Online. If the withdrawal or rollover amount is above 80% of the total account value and there are insufficient funds in cash, then the withdrawal will be paid to your client when all asset sales have completed. Once processing has finalised, we'll make the payment to the nominated bank account or super fund. For major institutions and most rollovers are paid electronically and received by the external fund or bank account within the timeframe of 3 days. Each super fund has their own process for allocating funds to their member accounts. As we mentioned earlier, if the withdrawal amount is above 80% of the account value and there are insufficient funds in cash, then investments are needed to be sold to cash and confirmed before the funds are paid out. So it will depend on the longest redeeming investment that your client holds. So let's start now with managed funds. Managed funds generally take 5 to 10 business days to confirm a sell after the request to sell has been issued to the fund manager. We ask that you refer to the relevant PDS for the investment, which is listed on North Online under investment information, down to fund PDSs and profiles. Please note also that longer redeeming funds can take longer than the standard 5 to 10 days. And we're going to take a look at how to identify these in a few moments' time. Then we have equities. Generally, they take 3 business days to confirm once the request has gone to market. Term deposits generally have a 31-day notice period on early withdrawals prior to the maturity date. We ask that you refer to the terms and conditions of the term deposit, which is listed on North Online under product information down to term deposits. And then for managed portfolios, for any managed portfolio request above 80% of the total asset value plus the managed portfolio cash, funds will be moved to the platform cash account once the longest redeeming investment has settled within that managed portfolio. And that is usually within 5 to 10 business days. So there are managed funds with withdrawal confirmation times outside the standard of 5 to 10 days. As we mentioned earlier, check the investment PDS on North Online under investment information down to fund PDSs and profiles. Managed funds with extended confirmation times guide provides you with information about long redeeming funds available on the My North menu. It is to be used in conjunction with the investment withdrawal confirmation times support guide. Other factors that may impact processing times include existing transactions not finalized on the account when an investment is pending a buy or sell and the investment is needed to be sold to fund the withdrawal. Corporate actions can also delay a sale of an investment. Before facilitating the withdrawal or rollover, if there are eligible contributions to claim a tax deduction, a notice of intent is required to be completed before the money leaves the account. This is due to a withdrawal reducing the eligible amount to claim in the future. A power of attorney on an account will impact processing time. In the event that North will need to make contact with the member and a power of attorney is in place on the account, however not received by North, the power of attorney documents need to be reviewed by our trustee and approved before we're able to make contact with the attorney or even process any sign request by the attorney. When information is missing from a request, we need to make contact with your office or the member, and this will delay the processing time. And this is why submitting on North Online captures all of the relevant information needed for a withdrawal. So let's now head back onto North Online to facilitate a withdrawal. Within your client's account on North Online, select Withdrawal from the menu across the top. You should read the following conditions prior to proceeding with your withdrawal or rollover request. Then select Start Application. Under Details, the account value and cash account balance is displayed. This will allow you to confirm whether there are sufficient funds in cash and the percentage of the withdrawal to the account balance. The minimum cash account balance is also displayed. If the withdrawal request falls below the minimum cash balance, you will have the choice to either choose investments to top up the balance of the cash account or Investments will be sold in accordance with the automatic sell instructions provided for the account. Then select the type of withdrawal. For this example, we will choose cash withdrawal. Next, select the amount of withdrawal as either full or partial. Let's facilitate a partial withdrawal. Further down the page, the maximum partial withdrawal or rollover amount is the maximum amount that can be withdrawn. Then select the partial withdrawal type as net or gross. Net is the amount paid to the client, whereas gross will be the amount paid less any tax payment where applicable. Then enter the partial withdrawal amount. A red box will be displayed when there are currently insufficient funds in the cash account to fund the withdrawal. And as we mentioned earlier, if you do not select the investments to be sold below, investments will be sold in accordance with the automatic sell instructions provided for the account. If no automatic sell instructions have been provided, managed fund investments will be sold proportionately. Let's select investments to be sold. As we scroll down the page, either enter the dollar sell amount for each investment or select the tick box to sell all. The estimated sell proceeds will total at the bottom. This figure must match the partial withdrawal amount. Note that this will top up the cash account for the withdrawal amount. If you had chosen to not select investments to sell, then the automatic sell instructions will top up the cash account to bring it back up to its target cash balance. Finally, the bank account the funds will be paid to is listed. If multiple bank accounts are listed, then you can select it from the drop-down. If the desired bank account you wish to make the withdrawal to is not listed, this would need to be added prior to commencing the withdrawal request. Select Next to proceed to page number 2 of the activity and continue with the withdrawal request. We now have some tools you can take back with you into your practice. A telegraphic transfer can be processed on an ad hoc basis upon request for withdrawals. This is reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and for normal withdrawals will be an additional request. A fee of $9 is charged to the client's account for processing. The fast transfer of funds is also available on the Fast Track Withdrawal form. Let's take a look at that now. The Fast Track Withdrawal form, which is available on North Online under Products from the menu across the top and then Forms. As you scroll down the page, you will find the Fast Track Withdrawal form. The Fast Track Withdrawal form is to be used when performing a full withdrawal only and seeking 80% of the account balance to be received fast-tracked. The remaining amount can be processed once the sale of assets has been finalised. The 80% of funds will be received within 3 to 5 days of the request being received, including all requirements, by the North Service Centre. The remainder of the funds will be released after all of the assets have been sold and the proceeds have been converted to cash. So I've taken you through some of the highest frequency transactions you will utilize on North Online, withdrawing and account transferring. You can now harness this knowledge into facilitating recontribution strategies, as North provides you with key functionality to get this done. A recontribution strategy first involves withdrawing a lump sum after a condition of release is met, and then paying any necessary tax on the withdrawal. Then recontributing these funds back into super as a non-concessional contribution, which will increase the tax-free component. North provides you with functionality to do a recontribution in different ways. We will now provide you with a high-level view of 2 methods. For an in-depth session which examines intricate details of how to facilitate a recontribution strategy, please get in contact with us to arrange a session with one of our North trainers around the country. Funds, firstly, need to leave the super environment. One of the methods that we will look at today include withdrawing to an external bank account. Then deposit the funds back into the super environment. You need to ensure that a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction for personal contributions has been completed prior to the redemption of funds from the source account, if applicable. As we mentioned earlier in our session, be aware of processing times for withdrawing funds from an account depending on available cash, which may include the sell down of assets. If recontributing back into super via a direct debit, ensure that the funds are available in the client's bank account when you hit the submit button on North Online, and having the client check with their institution to ensure that the direct debit can proceed. and then recontributing that amount back into the super environment. And then there is the method of recontributing using the account transfer functionality on North Online. There are some considerations which we'll talk about in a few moments' time, including factors that can delay this process. So this process requires you to open an IDPS account at least 2 days prior to facilitate the account transfers. You will then complete an account transfer from the super environment into the IDPS account and then back into the super environment the same day to prevent market movements. Administration and account fees will be charged and interest applied in the IDPS account based upon the duration of funds held within the account. By using this method, the client is not out of the market for the duration of facilitating the recontribution strategy. There are no buy or sell costs. However, a CGT event takes place. So let's now look at the steps involved in recontributing through an account transfer to IDPS. Step 1 is to create the IDPS account at least 2 days before performing the account transfers on North Online. At this stage, you can have your client sign account transfer forms which are available on North Online, which we looked at earlier, to have them ready for when you submit the transfers on North Online. Then facilitate the account transfer from Super Environment to IDPS. Then on the same day, perform the account transfer back into the Super Environment. You need to ensure that you complete those transfers on the same day to avoid market movements. We mentioned earlier that there are some factors that will impact transfer times and will delay the transfers. And these include existing transactions not finalized on the account, with investments that are pending a buy or sell, including active corporate actions and managed portfolios, which may have rebalances occur. Hint-to-hint transfers when partially account transferring with equities will delay the transfer for up to 3 to 5 days. If you are using a pension account as the source account and completing a full account transfer, the transfer will not occur until overnight, and this is due to ensuring that the minimum pension payment is paid for the account. So these are some factors which may delay the transfer method, which means the two transfers cannot occur on the same day, and that will equate to a unit price change, which will impact the final transfer amount to close the investment account. In summary, there are some considerations for each method, and these include, for both withdrawing through an external bank account and account transferring method, is to ensure that a notice of intent to claim a tax deduction for personal contributions has been completed prior to the redemption or the account transfer from the source account where applicable. For withdrawing to an external bank account, be aware of the processing times for withdrawing funds from an account, which may include the sell down of the investments. And we spoke about that at length in our withdrawing session earlier today. If recontributing back into super via direct debit, ensure that the funds are available in the client's bank account at the time you submit on North Online, and having the client contact your institution to ensure that the limit allows for the transfer and they allow to facilitate that direct debit too. For the account transfer method, if the transfer value exceeds 90% of the total value of that investment, you'll need to select the transfer all option, or alternatively enter a transfer value less than 90% of that value. Ensure that the automatic buy instruction is set to leave funds in cash, and that is to prevent cash sweeps, which will occur and will delay the transfer back into the super environment. If investments are awaiting a confirmation of a buy or sell, so those pending transactions, that will delay the account transfer until the confirmation is received. Equity transfers that move the holder identification number, or the HIN, to another HIN will delay the process, and that is up to 3 to 5 days. And then administration and account fees will be charged and cash interest applied in the IDPS account based upon the duration of funds held within the account. So we've already spoken about some of the tools to take back with you into your practice. Now let's focus on the reporting that can help your practice monitor contributions and key transactions for your client in the lead up to the end of financial year. So those two tools that we're going to be talking about today is the advisor reporting tool and event alert management. So let's now jump on North Online for the last time to examine these two. Advisor reporting can give you a holistic view of contributions for all of your clients. To run the report, select Reporting from the menu across the top and then Advisor Reporting. You can then run a report for detail by contribution date, by financial year, or a summary by financial year. Let's run the report by contribution date. You can then filter the report by date and then its product line and account status. You can define your search further by either including all of your clients or searching for a specific client. Then select Apply Filters. The report will then populate and include contribution types and the date they were received. The report also includes the client's date of birth. You can then manage the columns if desired by selecting the cog. You can also download the report to CSV if desired. There are event alerts which can help you by sending you an email when an event takes place. Select Access from the menu across the top and then Event Alert Management. You can subscribe to event alerts including personal contribution alert, non-concessional contributions within the current financial year, and many others. To subscribe, select the plus icon and then select Yes. Then select the desired frequency, and for this report, enter the non-concessional contributions amount. Then scroll down the page and select Save. For more information on key contribution cutoff times and other critical end of financial year information, visit North Online. Then select Advisor, select Insights and Education from the menu, and then scroll down the page to find end of financial year top tips for North users. That concludes our session today. Please keep your questions coming and we'll endeavour to come back to you within the next few days. I know there's been a lot of information throughout our session today, and I hope that we've provided you with the tools that you need to ensure that you have a smooth and successful end of financial year. For me and the North trainers, it's goodbye for now.